Since I've been at school, I've always tended to procrastinate and leave my tasks until later on and end up missing a lot of my goals and failing to achieve them. Whether you're trying to achieve a personal goal or a business goal, I finally found a solution which has worked for me every single time, and I want to share it with you all today. This is a simple framework anyone can use to stop procrastinating, to achieve your goals faster, and also help you go beyond those goals, and also to give you the motivation to not give up. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the framework I made is the GUESS framework, as you can see on my screen. So that's an acronym. Now the G stands for goals. Now this seems pretty redundant. However, to actually get to your goals, you have to set up your goals in a very specific way. Let me explain. So the reason for setting goals is obviously it prioritizes what's important, it improves your decision making, which I'll explain soon, and it keeps you accountable, and most importantly, you won't give up if your goal is truly meaningful to you and it matters so much to you. So you have to think of that. This goal has to mean so much to you that you won't give up. Now, this is nothing new. This has been taught in schools and everywhere. Goal setting is so important. When you set goals, you have to use this metric. So it's the SMART metric. Your goal has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be attainable, it has to be relevant, and it has to be time-bound. If you fail to tick any of these boxes off, it's so much more likely that you're going to give up. If your goal is not attainable, why would you even bother? If it's time-bound, you'll procrastinate it forever. If it's not relevant, then you don't even care about it. And if it's not measurable, you can't track your progress. So I've made a few examples here. So the first part being specific, right? I want to be rich from my online business. That could be your goal. However, you want to really be as specific as possible so you know if you're on track to achieving that goal or not. So for example, instead of that, at the bottom, I put, I want to sell my standard package valued at $1,249 to 60 clients within the next 3 months, generating $74,940. It's very specific, but the more specific, the better. Another example, which is not business related, but could be a personal goal, is I want to lose weight, for example. So instead of I want to lose weight, which you could do 600 years from now, there's no time frame attribute to it. You want to follow the SMART framework. I want to lose 10 kgs by the end of the year by following a meal plan each day and fitness plan. So that way you have a fitness plan and you follow a meal plan and you have a time frame, which is the end of the year, from now until the end of the year, losing 10 kgs. That's very specific, very attainable, and because this goal is very clear, you're way more likely to achieve it rather than if your goal was just to lose weight. Then U is understand, right? So in order to get to your goals, you have to understand how you're going to do this. So now you have a very specific goal in mind. All you have to do is understand how you're going to get to it now. So understanding is simply how do you get to your goals, how much time you require, creating milestones, and breaking down goals into bite-sized chunks. This is a simple way you can understand how to get to your goals. I'm going to be using a business example as it's the easiest, but for this one, I'm going to say I want to make 10K a month from digital products. For that goal, it's a little bit broad as well. In reality, you want it even more specific, but this is just so I can give you a broader example for you guys. This can also be used with a personal goal, and it doesn't just have to be a business goal. The first thing I like to do is make a mind map, right? It doesn't have to be a mind map, but it's just easy to visually see it. It could be a list, you could write it down, anything. But what are all the ways that you can achieve this goal? What are all the different things you could do? So 10K a month from digital products, let's say. I could be selling journal templates, which is, I got a basic one at $29, or I got a combo pack at $79. Sell a habit checklist at $19, and an online course, which is valued at $39 a month, or a premium one valued at $79 a month, a PDF valued at $34. You get the idea. These are all the different components which can get me to that 10K a month package. So now once you get an idea of all this, you don't want to be doing everything, right? It's going to be hectic. You're going to lose a lot of time. So I'm now looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, which one is the best option? And you want to start with that. You don't want to be doing 100 things at once to begin with. You want to master one thing, and once that one thing is doing well, then start branching off. Right? And how you determine the best one is, one, what is the best return on investment, right? Is this going to take me 100 hours to make my first dollar, or is it going to take me 10 hours to make my first dollar? And also scalability. How much is the maximum this can make, and how much is the maximum this can make? You want high maximum, but also efficiency to get there. After that, once you've chosen something and once you're clear about how you can get to your goal, you want to break it down into little milestones. So for example, this is just a Canva template, which is free, which I've managed to just fill in. This is very broad. When you actually make it, you want to be a lot more specific. But for example, January 1st, I create the online course. January 5th, I start running ads on it. January 10th, get at least 10 clients, and etc., etc. And you have little tasks, and at the end, you need to make sure that it reaches your goal of 10K a month. This is very good as it stops procrastination. If you get to, let's say, January 10th and I don't have 10 clients, I know that I'm falling behind, so I know I need to pick up the pace. Whereas if I don't create a program like this or a timeline, and if I think 10K a month, I might get to January 26th and be like, oh, I got 5 days to make 10K, which is not very realistic or attainable. But by having these milestones, it helps you kick into gear and start focusing on achieving these goals. And you can take it even a step further, which I highly recommend, and basically plan out every single day. So what you're going to do each day, and I'll talk about this more later on, but a really quick way of doing it is just going into ChatGPT. And for example, if this 10K a month from digital products is my goal, I've simply given a prompt, give me a 31-day calendar with a list of tasks to make 10K a month with digital products. And as you can see, I've got it pulled up here. It instantly pulled it up and it says day 1, choose one to build first. I pick one of these. Day 2, identify a target customer. Day 3, validate, etc. And it gives me a very good list of guides of things I should be doing each day. If you can plan it up yourself, even better. But if it's going to take some time, then just use ChatGPT or some sort of AI to quickly get it done. And then you can go back and add in extra details and think about what is important and what you can take out. Going to the next part of the GUESS framework is eliminate. This is so important, and I think a lot of people don't do this, and hence why you end up procrastinating and not achieving your goals. Eliminating simply is just to get rid of everything else that doesn't align with reaching your goal. So this helps you focus on your goals, remove distractions, prioritize them, and also you want to say no much more frequently, because you know if it's not going to be aligned with your goals, then there's no point of you doing it. Obviously in the realm it's in. For example, if you have a business goal, I'm talking about all the hours you put into business. I'm not saying cut out your social life and don't hang out with people. That's your personal life, right? But if your personal goal, for example, is to lose weight, like we mentioned before, don't go out drinking and eating as it goes against your goal or it doesn't help your goal. The next part, which is probably the most important part of all this, aside from having a clear goal, is systems. Systems will help you remain intact, locked in, so you can achieve your goals without getting distracted. Now, the first one I want to talk about, and the most important one, is simply setting a Google Calendar. So Google Calendar is free, right? And each day I know exactly what I'm doing. So I know from, let's say, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. I am making content. That way you can't procrastinate, because if you skip out on this, then you're falling behind. Now, a big thing I've also learned is when creating your calendar, you don't want to pack it out too much. I've got spare time here, I've got spare time in these gaps. That allows me, if something comes up, let's say a meeting comes up which is relevant to my goal, I'm like, okay, this meeting is important. That way I can push things into the spare gap, or I set the meeting in the spare gap, for example. Obviously, this is not followed every single day, but having a framework and a structure helps you work on your goals as much as possible to achieve them in that time frame. This also helps you with the E section, the eliminate. It's easy to say yes to plans because you've got free time or whatever, right? But if you have this structure and something comes up, you can instantly know whether you need to eliminate it or not, depending on how much space you have. Another great system you can implement is using AI applications. So for example, again, going back to that 10K a month digital, right? Instead of you having to think, okay, well, what can I do? You want to make it easy as possible. So let's say you create the digital product, and then an AI system comes up with all the heading, all the structures, so you can instantly save time and repeat the process over and over and over. The last part is scaling. Now, I'm gonna make a whole separate video on this because scaling is a huge component, and each of these segments are actually massive components, but I'm just trying to get it out quickly to teach you guys as fast as possible so you can straight away get on to achieving your goals. So with scaling, efficiency and speed is key. When you have a goal set, you want to achieve it as quick as possible while maintaining a high standard. You want to figure out the bottlenecks in your goals in business. So for example, with the 10K digitals per month, is it a time thing? Do I not have enough time to do this? Is creating this digital product, this course, taking me 6 weeks and therefore I can't achieve it? Whatever's taking the longest, you can outsource it, and you want to look at what you can maximize per hour. So it doesn't have to be money, but it's what your goal is. So again, if your goal is losing weight, what can I do to maximize losing weight and getting to my goal as fast as possible? It's not walking, it's maybe running, for example. So you set in runs, but is that going to tire you out and therefore is walking better? These are all the things you have to think about. For example, with all the other things we talked about before, with the online courses, how can I maximize in an hour? How can I make as much money as possible? Is it by pushing out these courses by ads, for example, or is it by influencer marketing, etc.? And this is a quote that I've written up. Scaling isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but smarter. That way you don't have to be working as hard to achieve your goals so you don't burn out. I know that was a very quick video and I know I brushed over a lot of these components very quickly. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to put them down in the comments below. I'll be making a separate video more on each of the segments down the line, but this is a good introduction that you guys can go watch and figure out what you need to do. The scaling part can come later. The main important things is putting the 4 other systems in place: goals, understanding, eliminate, and systems. I urge every single one of you watching this, if you want to start procrastinating and you finally want to achieve your goals, write down all your goals as clear as possible. And if you do have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions there. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.